Hello everyone, and in my last video I turned some of this raw, unrefined clay that I got from the ground into some usable clay that can be used for some pottery. Last video I also added some temper to that clay, and since then I just stored it in some plastic bags to keep it from drying up. Temper, by the way, is just some sand to help it in the firing. If you haven't seen it, I'd recommend you guys check out my previous video, part 1 of this little pottery series. So in this video, I'm going to be focusing on making a relatively simple pot using the coil method to build up the pot. I won't be using a wheel, just all hand building and rolling some coils. As you can see, the clay here is still quite soft, quite malleable, and I'll just let the rest of the video speak for itself. I'll come in every now and then to kind of explain what I'm doing if I feel like I have to, but other than that, enjoy the process. So here I just rolled a ball of clay. I'm going to be flattening it out a bit. But I'm going to be making a sort of a little cup which will form the base of the pot. As you can see here, I am trying to flatten out the bottom so the pot can stand up. But I'm also supporting the walls so it doesn't collapse when I hit it against the bottom. So now that that bottom part is finished, I'll be rolling out my first coil. Using coils for pottery involves rolling out some of these long coils and then pinching them on to your pot to build up the walls. You'll see what I mean by that here in a second. So now that we have our coil and our base, I'm gonna just wet the edges of my bottom half of the pot so that they bond a little better. I'm also kind of roughing it up with my fingernail. And then I'm just gonna get the coil and just sort of pinch it on to the side of the, or to the edges of the pot. So you can kind of see what I mean by I use these coils to sort of build up those walls. And once they meet, I kind of fuse them together. There are those pinches that you can see which bond it to the base. And now I'll kind of do those pinches inside, because as you can see, the inside walls of the pot are still not quite bonded quite well. So I'm going to be doing that. And at the same time, I'm also going to be stretching out the material to build the walls higher up. So I'm pinching, stretching, and sometimes even pushing the clay together just to build up those walls. So that's the basic idea of pinching and coiling for pottery. And this is how you can make many sorts of shaped pots without using a wheel. So here I'm just gonna speed up the video so you can kind of see how the walls get built up quite quickly, actually. The thicker the coils you use, the faster you can build up your walls, but I'd say use whatever thickness you're comfortable with. So now that we're approaching the neck of this pot, I'm kind of placing the coils a little more inward. I'm giving them an angle, and I'm also pinching together to sort of compress those walls inward. So as you can see here, I'm kind of building a neck. And now this will be the start of both the narrowest part of the neck as well as the flared out opening. I guess the lip, you could call it. So now that it's getting quite narrow, I'm having to use my pinky here to really get in and help seal or bond the clay together on the inside. In this process, when you're making that lip and you're flaring it out, a lot of cracks can form, so it's good to keep things a little on the damper side and just have some clay to fill in those cracks. I found this earthenware clay that I got from the area naturally from old termite mines is quite forgiving, so it's also very, very sticky. Now I'm just smoothing out that lip. Just trying to get it as nice as possible. I try to focus quite a bit on the lip because, in my opinion, that's what stands out when you look at the pot. It could be a little better. You could spend a little more time on it, but I'm quite happy with that. So now here I'm using just an old card that I cut into a certain shape. This will help me sort of scrape off excess material that are causing those bumps and rough spots. So this will help smoothen everything out. Of course, if you like your pots a little on the rough side, you don't have to do this. So as you can see here, after quite some time scraping, the pot is getting much more smoother around the sides. Now I'm just using some water to sort of really smoothen things down. Another thing you can do, which I don't do here, is you can burnish the pot, so you can get it to just past leather hard. So it's not quite bone dry, but it's still a little bit damp. You can get something like a really smooth rock or the back of a spoon and rub it up against the pot over and over again, and that'll actually polish it before you even fire it. So when you do fire it, it becomes quite shiny. But here, I'm just using some water and my fingers to smoothen it out a bit. And of course, when you make things, try your best to mark it. Put your maker's mark, touch mark, whatever that is. Just so people know you made it. And you know you made it. Maybe years down the line, you can pick it up and see that, oh yeah, I made this thing. I don't know. I tend to forget some of the things I made, so very helpful in my case. So there it is. So other than that, I also made a quick little leaf. This is gonna be for cone incense, just a little platform for cone incense to burn. This is quite a quick project, so I'm just putting some highlights here, not going through the whole thing. You can sort of follow along if you want to try to make one yourself, but it's overall a very simple idea here. So these two will be fired together, this and the pot. Now, I'm gonna have to let these things dry out for a bit before I fire them. So here they are. I have some other projects here as well, but you can see the pot and the leaf there in the background. It's best to let these things dry slowly so they don't crack, but the temper will help for that. So there they are. As you can see, the color's quite different and they've shrunk in size a little bit. And you can see the sand poking through. So now, here is the day of the firing. Probably about 5 days later. I'd give it a week just in case, depending on your humidity. And I'm going to be putting them here in this oven. At you can do maybe 140 degrees to make sure there's no water in them anymore. And here outside, here's my little trash can kiln. Made this myself. Lined it with some concrete and sand. And there is where the air goes through from the bottom, an air intake, and I have that little tile there to kind of stop it from getting too hot. Because if it gets too hot, it can melt the pots. Here I have my little cats outside keeping me company. Very cute. So this is a charcoal kiln. So I'm going to be using some of that. I have to break it down to a little more usable size. I have seen people firing pottery in barbecue stoves with charcoal. That is very much possible with earthenware. But in my case, this is a little more dedicated kiln. Just lighting it here with a little torch from both the top and the air. You can see there that tile which kind of restricts the air a bit so it doesn't get too hot. And those metal bars will be supports for these tiles where the pots will sit. As you can see, it's burning quite hot right now. Getting there, not fully lit just yet. Going back to the pots after several minutes. I'd give it 30 minutes just to make sure there's as little moisture in these as possible. This earthenware clay tends to kind of absorb and hold moisture really well. I think that's due to the organics in them. I could be wrong, but that's what I noticed. So it really takes a while to get them to bone dry, and you want them to be as bone dry as possible before they go into the kiln to prevent any cracks and potential pops and explosions. You can see they're very gray, light, almost like a light beige right now. Now they're going into the kiln here. And that's not all. I'm gonna be covering these completely with charcoal. So this will make sure they get up to temperature. The coals will be burning around them for several hours. This will take about 4 hours. Just want to make sure as much of the coal burns away. And I won't be adding any more coal once it gets going. So once it's lit and closed, that's pretty much it. And with the coals resting on the pieces, it will give them some color variation. There'll be some blacks, some grays, along with the natural rusty red of the clay as it gets fired. just here about an hour later or so just to check up on it. The coals are burning quite hot here. The lining of my top cover came off. That's actually the those tiles you see me using. So paint is kind of burning off there. I should probably reline that sometime, but that's it for now. And I'm here to check up on it again. As you can see, more of the paint burned, and majority of the coals are starting to burn down. But this is far from finished. I really have to let it burn down as much as possible. As you can see, night is already here. The crickets are quite loud and almost all the coals have burned. So this is approximately 3.5 to 4 hours later. You could keep this going even more just to make sure all the coals are burnt down, but it was getting late, so I decided to pull them out already. Pulling out this leaf is quite tricky because nowhere obvious to grab and everything's still quite hot. That's the perk of letting it burn out all the way. You can really wait for things to cool down once all the coals burn away. And here they are, fresh out of the kiln. Still a lot of ash on it, but you can see that black and gray color mixed with the rusty red that I was talking about. And yeah, so these pots are unglazed, which means they won't exactly be able to hold water. The water will soak into them. But you can use them for dried flowers and just for decoration. So I'll just give them a quick wash with some water, let them dry out for a bit, and this is the final result. I'm quite happy with how this turned out. I really like the varying colors of the blacks, the browns, and some of rusty orange. It's sort of mottled all over the pot randomly. That's what an open an open coal fire does when you just have them exposed to the coals. And as you can see, it rings quite well. Bring it closer to the mic so you can hear. That ringing sound is a good sign. It means it's fired completely well. So if you wet it, it won't dissolve. It's no longer the clay that it once was. This is solid ceramic pretty much. And there's the leaf. Really happy with how this turned out, both the leaf and the pot. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks so much for watching. This is my personal process of how I make pottery from clay that I refined myself. Hope you guys enjoyed and hope you learned something. I'll see you in the next video.